Hello, welcome back to Hyperion City. Today I'm working on the city's shield system, adding 2 new buildings, and made some hover cars. So as you see it before you, I am starting to get some work done onto the outer rim of the city's border, as you can say. I had this idea a while back when I started the map, so it was supposed to be some type of, I don't know, this could be a dome city, but then I realized that if I try to make a dome for the city, you can't build in it. So I changed it up a little bit, and I found an accident while testing out some shields or something with the glass panes. So you're gonna see the accident. I found out that when you use the that color trick with the number of the 999 on a certain color, it acts different on glass, completely different, and that was surprising to me. So you'll see, I'm gonna pull that up. So I pulled like some light up shine thing, that I put it on the glass and it made this weird red tint, so it looked like a real, like a lasered shield. I liked that from the beginning, so I'm going to build that later. But onto the first building. So I needed to cover up the depot. So this building changed a couple times. This building is going to be more like maybe a hospital of some sort, because I used a lot of whites and reds in this one. So it's going to be some type of hospital in the middle of the city. Each building that I plan to make are going to be different. We'll see how much more difference I can make. I might make copies here and there of some buildings to kind of keep the city more, I don't know, together, as you can say. But first, figuring out foundation, figuring out the colors. I was going for a white-orange, then I changed my mind a couple times. It's okay to change your mind all the time. I do it all the time anyway, so. Later on in the video, you're going to see me working on some hover cars, because I had the idea of putting in hover cars because it's going to copy that map from RCT2. And I will probably also work on some other, like maybe military vehicles out in the outer rims of the map maybe. I do want to make some type of UFO somewhere, because it's cliche, you have to have some type of flying saucer, so I'll try to do that. But yeah, the building's shape, so I'm going to go for like curves, 2 towers that sync together. One's going to be taller than the other. And I didn't really pull any inspiration from this one, actually. I think I was just making it more like 50s like. So pulling architecture from different eras kind of makes it into sci-fi sometimes, because sci-fi has no architecture really. It's just kind of based on the future and kind of just different in different shapes here and there. So that's what I'm going to try to do here. Just kind of make it futuristic. Curves is a good way to go. Lights, good way to go. Pipes and antennas. Some other type of weird shaped buildings that look like they shouldn't be able to stand or hold itself. So that's what I'm going to try to keep in mind as I build these sci-fi buildings. Over here I'm trying to plan out some future buildings, kind of just left them as. And as I was building this building, and as I get taller, I realized that I have to build these buildings off-site first and then plop them in later. And I will be doing that for the second building later on, because it is going to get harder in this two-dimensional, well, this is the isomorphic view. Well, that's a hard word to say. So it's going to get harder as I build on, so I have to keep that in mind. Because the first 2 buildings were actually quite simple and easy to put in, because they're on the edge of this town, or the city, and so they were actually easier to put in. So here's the shape of the building. It's starting to shape out. Kind of looks like a hospital. It could be a hospital, it could be an office building. I don't know. I have no names for these buildings. I just think it looks good and it looks unique enough to be in the city, to give it some story or some world building, as I put it. So I'm just going to finish more details on this, testing out different ways to use these space building parts, sci-fi ones. I didn't like the beginning here, or the front of this building, so I kind of pushed it back against the depot, and then I added a triangular awning, like 50s version or 50s building. I pulled that inspiration also from Fallout 4, because Fallout 4 has a 50s style to it, but yet it's future, and so everything is in the 50s-ish looking. So the cars look like they're from the 50s, the buildings and the some of the neon buildings and stuff like that all look like they're from the 50s, but you know it's not the 50s. But it's something recognizable that you have a comfort to it actually. So that's kind of what I'm going to keep in mind as I build these sci-fi buildings. So keep something that's recognizable from our era or from our time period, but then add a twist to it to make it different and know that it is from the future or some other planet, as you can say. So testing out some other things. These building parts are somewhat hard to use because it kind of forces you to build one way. It forces you to build towers with giant flying saucers on them, and then that's kind of how it goes. So it's kind of hard to use these building pieces when they're not as flexible. I try to make them as flexible as possible because some of the parts in this game kind of dictate what you should build with them. And I'm trying to use other parts for other things. I don't want to use them for what they're actually intended for, so I try to use different parts for other things. Like, for example, the borders here I'm using are going to be windows, even though they're not windows. So I'm trying to use different parts for different things. I think that's a good challenge if you're trying to make something look unique or detail-oriented. Use parts that weren't intended for that part that you wanted. So that's just something that you kind of learn over and over as you build. I wasn't always good right in the beginning when I had this game, so it's just more practice, more knowledge as you build and experiment with things. You shouldn't be scared to try new things or try different themes somewhat. I've tried so many different themes at this point. I do want to do more stuff, so as I ramble on. I'll continue with the buildings. I don't know. Side, I don't know, these could be like some type of fuel tank or something, and then I'm going to do some copies of these windows and just copy them all over the place. One of my favorite techniques ever is using the blueprint system. It's pretty good. So, building seems to be, I think, almost done, because there's really not much to it. I just wanted to make it very futuristic-ish looking. And it looks futuristic. I'm starting to see as it built itself, you notice that it starts turning out to exactly what you imagined in your head, and then sometimes it gets better as you build on. So onto the second building. This will be the tan. This could be another office building. Oh no, I'm going to work on the shields. As I was building, I was thinking of how to change my shields up. So I want to add some new type of, I don't know, this is going to be like a shield entrance gate. So it holds up the shield and you can walk through it. Oh, never mind, I'm going to skip over to build some hover cars. Now this was fun to do. Hover cars. I always wanted to do hover cars. I did a customized vehicles with these car props in Delta 5 campaign map, or my campaign map. And I played around with how to make the vehicles look different. I had like giant tires or like rover tires on this type of vehicle, and it actually looked pretty cool. So I'm going to try out doing some hover vehicles. So I'm going to put these almost all over the map so they'll be at like really high levels. And you'll see that the cars are like flying everywhere, stuff like that. And I'm going to add some lights underneath them to give them that engine glowing thing at night, so you see that they're actually look like they're hovering. I wish they were bobbing up and down, but that's an animation thing that's probably needs to be implemented to a prop or something, but I can only wish. So I added some different shapes, engines, stuff like that, to make it just different, because the car itself, this car right now, is actually very basic. You don't want to change too much to it, because it still has to look like a car that we recognize, but it has some different things, like some engines in the back and some hover parts. I make 3 vehicles here. I want to make other vehicles like a truck, maybe a other type of, maybe 2 different types of trucks, maybe another civilian vehicle, and I make a police car and a taxi in this point, and I will change them slightly to give them the different feels, because they all look the same right now, and as I just build on and switch things up. But there's your taxi, and then we on to the wonderful police car. Oh, I should make a fire truck next. Just thinking about that. Fire truck would be nice. I was planning to do a monorail throughout the city. That didn't turn out. I kind of wanted to leave that to you guys to build it when you play on the map, so I'm just gonna leave that as is. I wish I could force you to choose the futuristic monorail cars, but I really can't. I don't think this scenario is designed to really do that. But you can choose that sci-fi looking car, monorail car. It'll actually fit pretty well in this scenery scenario map. So here's my cars. Add some little bit of details of lights. I love that those are blue and then the ones underneath the tires would be white. It actually works out pretty well. So hover taxi and then a hover police car. It starts to make the city look more lively, even though the road on the floor is actually absolutely pointless. But we need the road because that's where guests walk. So it's kind of funny that I've made roads that these cars will never use because they will be hovering. But they look nice. They look like the city's starting to take shape. Now onto the second building. This is going to be some type of office building. So I'm going to move it off site and build it and work on it and then put it back in. So it'll be easier for me to work on it. I will probably do this for most of my buildings. I haven't thought about other buildings there can be. If you guys have suggestions, you can put them down in the comments of what other buildings I can add. Like, for example, maybe a futuristic firehouse, an arcade place, a grocery store, some other places. I don't know, town hall. There, we need a town hall for this city. So, I will think of other things and then we'll build on to the next episode. But back to working on said office building. I tried doing different windows, so this time I tried doing with shapes. I found out the shapes were too small, even though I could have made them larger. But I just felt like that was more tedious work than I needed it to be, so I decided to do this old technique again, taking the windows, facing them the other way, and placing them manually against the wall. And so they pop up a little, and then using Blueprint to just place a whole bunch of them. And I like this way better, actually, and I think it turned out really well. As I put more windows in, you'll see how it starts to feel like an apartment building or office building of some sort. So, on to more grunt work, just placing more windows. This is tedious work. Sometimes this really makes me want to not work on it because it does so much work. So I'll skip around. So here I skipped off to doing some of the shield work or just redoing it. No, told myself to go back to work. Go back to work, finish the windows. Need to finish them. Because if I don't do it, it will be forgotten. And then this map won't continue. And I want to continue this map because I have somewhat of a deadline in my head when I want to release this map. But it's been a crazy 2 weeks here at home, so I don't want to bore you with the details, but I've been busy doing other things besides just Parkitect. But back to working on said shield. So I already placed down window panes or glass panes before, and this was kind of how high the shield was going to be. I was trying to figure out how to make it look like a dome, but I scrapped that idea entirely because that kind of beats the purpose of you working on in the city. So onto redesigning it, and I have a final decision, and I think it's going to make the map feel futuristic and different, and it kind of forces you to kind of either build in the city or build outside the city because you have some other spaces you can build in. So it kind of gives you choice, and that's kind of what I try to do when I make a scenario map. I try to give the player areas to build in and inspiration to build your rides or stuff to copy that. So I don't know, something like that. So here's the special red shield windows. They have this interesting turquoise lining on it. It's just some type of weird glitch effect with these windows, but I love how this looks. I just felt like this was necessary for my city because the city is on some barren, hostile planet, and so they decided to build this giant laser system. So this laser system protects them from, I don't know, wild creatures. That reminds me, actually, that's a good idea. I should make some alien creatures out on the outskirts of the map, maybe outside the park barrier, so you could get an idea what this planet could be. I don't have a name for the planet. I'll probably make up one later. But if you guys have an idea for the name of this planet, shoot one down into the comment section. That'd be great. But I'm just gonna do some copy and pasting. This is the fastest way to build, is to do the copy and pasting. So I'll just put in some of those really nice windows, or sorry, shields, I want to say. Fix some of the errors of clipping blocks that I forgot to delete before placing, all that stuff. So just grunt work again. Those spinning shield generators. Yeah, I'm gonna call them shield generators. I will be making a whole bunch of copies, place them all around the map, fix up some of the details here and there. I'm trying to think of other little things I could put on this map, but it's gonna take some time to think of some type of, I don't know, more machinery or stuff like that. Probably gonna do some, maybe like a space outpost maybe out toward the farther parts of the map. I haven't thought about plants yet for this map, but it's more of a barren planet, so I'll try to do maybe some type of wooden trees or some type of cactus type of thing, but they have to look space alien-like, so I'll probably use some of the fantasy things and stuff like that. So back to work on the office building that I kind of left for an hour, basically, because that was about an hour, about like 40 minutes of putting down shields. So on to copying the windows, placing them down, and this is where it starts getting interesting, because I think this is a pretty cool effect. Putting these down and then recoloring them later to be like windows are on or off, or the rooms are different. So I'll just start playing around with that. So I copied, yeah, there it goes. So this is a cool little idea, actually. I might reproduce this idea over and over again, like in other buildings or something, but I'll make different shapes of buildings, of course, because I don't want everything to be the same, because that would just be kind of boring. I haven't thought about any goals yet, but I think one of the goals, if I've already said this before, I want to do coaster building stuff. So I want you to build like 7 to 8 coasters at different excitement levels, maybe, or intensity levels. I haven't fully decided. There's going to be some type of maybe low guest count, or maybe a high guest count. Maybe like 1,000 guests have to be achieved in blah blah time or something. I haven't thought about if I want land to unlock for a goal. Maybe one little part will be unlocked for land or something. I'm just thinking of things as I basically blue sky. Yeah, this is basically the office building for the city. Don't know what it is for, but as this video closes out, I will be working on the next video, probably some more vehicles, some more unique buildings, and maybe some UFOs or terrain stuff. So I'll see you guys in the next video.